First of all, I would like to thank Dr. Sanjay Kumar sir for giving me this opportunity to be here on this platform, interacting with you all. So today's topic of discussion will be CT and MRI. So abdominal imaging, CT and MRI, what and how to choose. So it's really a very practical discussion. Most of the time we get into the discussion what to use and what will be the better option for a specific condition. I will like to justify things within 10 minutes, so it will be more of a very superficial overview. We will try to include everything and we will have to have a discussion with the disease modalities, what will be better modality and that. So coming to outline of the discussion, mainly we will be discussing inherent advantages with the mainly CT and MRI. In ultrasound we cannot leave away because ultrasound is always binded with the CT and MRI, so it's always ultrasound with CT or ultrasound with MRI. And most importantly, in the end, we will be discussing image modalities of choice is for the category of abdominal pathology, major pathology groups, so like visceral organs, trauma, hepatobiliary. So what will be the best modality for evaluation? So coming to ultrasound, the advantages of ultrasound, in most cases it is the first imaging modality, and sometimes that can be the sole modality sufficient enough to start the management. Advantages, it is non-ionizing, so it can be used in all group of patients. It can be repeatedly used. It can be used for frequent follow-ups. It is easily available, portable, so can be done at bedside. It's a real-time imaging. It's a huge advantage. So real-time maneuvers can be done. For the calculus, we can see mobility. Polyps will not mobilize. Similarly, it allows us to have free-hand interventions. It is having good soft tissue contrast and resolution. It can differentiate very well between solid and cystic. And with the availability of ultrasound contrast, the resolution part is further improved. It allows quantitative assessment of blood flow using Doppler. And nowadays with the newer machines, there are many qualitative parameters also that allows us to have microcirculation. So we can make out if there is any deficit of microcirculation in the visceral organs. Limitations are operator dependency is the big disadvantage because it definitely depends on who is behind the machine that makes all the difference in ultrasound. Poor penetration for air and bone are an enemy for ultrasound, and difficult in obese patient in deeper structures. That limitation is slightly getting lesser and lesser with advanced equipments nowadays, which are allowing us to penetrate as deep as possible. So these are just representative images of GB calculus, if having acute cholecystitis, GB sludge, seeing the CBD, tiny CBD calculi, seeing the microcholithiasis. So these are the things which ultrasound can definitely make out, and management can be started on this only without the need of CT and MRI if we can see the CBD and GB clearly. Similarly, in cases of appendicitis, if GB picture is classical and it is matching with the clinical spectrum, then treatment can be started. All are on the ultrasound only, no further need of CT or MRI. So coming to indications for ultrasounds, there are a huge list of indications. These are with from the American Institute of Ultrasound Medicines. So this, I'm not going into details of indications because these are overlapping indications for ultrasound, CT and MRI. But yeah, primarily more preferred indications for ultrasound, abdominal flank pain of any time. The first investigation is ultrasound. Coming to abdominal trauma. So if the trauma is contained, it is limited to abdomen. Trauma is low energy trauma. Ultrasound is sufficient enough to evaluate trauma patients. Doing so, we may be able to avoid doing CT in many of the patients. So fast, looking for the fluid in the four quadrants, in seeing in the pericardium, extended fast, seeing the pleural effusions also, that can make good fast assessment of trauma patients, and it can streamline the management without putting too many patients for the CT. Search for the presence of free or lobulated peritoneal retroperitoneal fluid. Ultrasound is very sensitive when it comes to fluid detection. Excellent modality. Coming to planning for and guiding for invasive procedures. As we said, it allows us free hand maneuvers for doing interventions in the form of FNACs, biopsies, drainages, and other therapeutic procedures. So here we can see detection of fluid. So any minimal quantity of fluid, even thin layer of fluid in the Morrison's pouch here, the fluid in the subhepatic location. So this ultrasound being excellent modality for detection of fluid. just one slide of the contrast enhanced ultrasound. Contrast enhanced ultrasound is highly underrated. In the last decade, it was because of the unavailability of this feature on the machines, and it was costly ultrasound contrast agent. But now with more and more machines coming up with this ultrasound contrast facility, and ultrasound contrast is also getting cheaper. In the future, we are bound to see more and more uses of ultrasound contrast. So ultrasound contrast will have all the advantages of USG, and it will be possible in all the cases where CT or MRI cannot be done. Like it can be done on bedside, the patients where CT or MRI contrast is contraindicated, like in deranged RFT patients. So ultrasound contrast will be very useful. It is already getting into the many of clinical uses. So it is already well established in defining the characterizing the focal liver lesions. It can be put into intracavitary administration, and it can be used to look for the tract, fistula tract. It can be used during surgery. CT MRI definitely is a limitation. It's very unlikely to use CT and MR in the intraoperative procedures. So this will make the intraoperative procedures, so lesion will become more obvious, doing biopsy. So I can make out what part of the lesion is solid, what part of the lesion is cystic. So even if it is not visible on ultrasound, contrast ultrasound will make it appear solid and cystic area. So we can target what part of the mass needs to be targeted. During surgery, we can target the lesion. This is the lesion. If we are missing part of the lesion inside, during ablation, if we are missing part of the lesion inside, which is showing contrast enhancement, means viable tissue is being left inside. So it can target the things at the table, on the table. It will be excellent use of it. Just a simple representation here on the ultrasound image. The image is not very well determined. So it is neither it is looking quite malignant, neither it is typical of hemangioma, but after giving contrast, we can see peripheral enhancement and over the time progressive centripetal filling in of the contrast. So it is a hemangioma for sure. The similar picture we will get with the CT or MR. However, here it is possible in the same sitting while doing ultrasound, just pushing the contrast through the vein flank, you will get all the information and you won't need to do further CT or MRI. Now coming to CT, the advantages of CT. CT definitely has the most important role nowadays with the abdominal imaging. So it allows whole body, multiplanar, very high spatial resolution, excellent for bone, hair, lungs, fat, very good soft tissue differentiation, especially after giving IV contrast. It is very fast. So in many of the scenarios, it becomes the modality of choice, like in cases of emergency, critical patients, non-cooperative patients, with the patients who cannot be given sedation, evaluation of bowel, where the bowel, small bowel especially shows mortality, peristalsis. So CT becomes excellent in evaluation of a small bowel. High resolution multiphasic contrast studies. It allows being so quick. Now we are able to acquire more than 4 phases of multiphasic studies is possible, and that too with the crisp high density images of the vessels. So it allows us the evaluation of vascular pathologies, or in general pre-operative and post-operative evaluation, looking for the vessels, complete high quality definition of vessels. Coming to disadvantages, the highest disadvantage is the ionizing radiation. So needs to be cautiously used in young patients and for the repeated scans. Iodinated contrast is nephrotoxic. It can have anaphylactic allergic reactions, so relatively contraindicated in patients having deranged cavities, had previous anaphylaxis, and in patients with pregnancy. So we can see the CT images are excellent in soft tissue contrast. They show us visceral organs, they show us bowel, they show bony details, they show us the mesentery, omentum, fat definition. So they help us differentiate different structures. Coming to so crisp anatomical structures with multiphasic study, we can see the definition of artery, the vein. So like in this case of, here is the mass, this is the pancreatic malignancy. Very well we can see relationship of the mass with the lesion, with the vessels. So what here it is showing this almost 180 degree area of contact. Here they is showing encasement of celiac trunk. So for the staging, for the operability of lesions, CT becomes an excellent tool, and it is a preferred tool for the same reason. Coming to indications, again there are almost all the abdominal pathologies, CT do have some role, but yeah, majorly in the evaluation of primary and metastatic malignancies, that is for Staging, characterization and treatment monitoring. Coming to detection of complications following abdominal pelvic surgery, so post-operative complication monitoring, assessment of abnormalities of abdominal pelvic vascular structures, non-invasive angiography of the aorta and branches. So for the vascular workup, CT angio definitely is the best modality. Evaluation of bowel obstruction and GI bleeding. GI bleeding already we discussed, so CT angiography is excellent for pre-operative, even before interventions, planning GI. For the GI bleeding, CT angiography is excellent, very sensitive, localizing the bleed, so during the intervention we can directly get into the vessel, directly go inside and block the vessel. Screening and diagnostic evaluation of colonic polyps, CT colonography can be used. Treatment planning for radiation and chemotherapy and evaluation of tumor response to treatment, including perfusion studies. Pre and post transplant assessment, same reason being the excellent vascular definitions. Like here in this case, we can see here at the rectosigmoid junction there is a mass. This multiplanar you can see on the axial scan. We can see on the here we can see rectosigmoid junction mass, and here in the liver we can see there are multiple hypodense lesions suggesting metastasis. Here the excellent definition of bowel. We can see the bowels are contained within a sac, within the abdominal cavity. Here we can see it is looking like a neck, so it is an internal hernia. Jejunal loops inside the encapsulated inside in the almost in the median and left pyramidal location. So it is just like this. It is internal hernia with the jejunal loops as content. Coming to MRI. So advantage of MRI, most important is it is non-ionizing, not based on X-ray. It is based on magnetic field. It allows whole body multiplanar imaging. Now comes the most important point. It differentiates from others is it is got very high inherent soft tissue contrast, and which is further enhanced when we use the contrast. So this is its primary USP of MRI, very high soft tissue contrast. So wherever we are using in the visceral organs, in the brain, in the spine, in the liver, pancreas, spleen, it gives us excellent definition, excellent characterization of lesions. So excellent for solid viscera, pancreatic biliary system, inflammatory bowel disease and pelvic imaging. Again here we can see the reason being in the pancreatic biliary system we do have inherent fluid inside that allows the MR to have excellent definition of pancreatic biliary tree. Pelvic organs being the stationary, MR high resolution imaging can be performed for pelvic organs. So pelvic imaging, MRI becomes the treatment of choice, modality of choice. Coming to inflammatory bowel disease, being the younger patients, they need multiple scans, so CT can be avoided in this patient and MRI can be the modality of choice in this patient. Coming to disadvantages, yes, it is time consuming, expensive, susceptible to motion artifacts, being the every sequence around 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 4 minutes. So it is susceptible to motion artifacts, that becomes its disadvantage. So for the small bowel, if there is paracelsus, we lose the resolution, there is movement blurring. In the non-cooperative patient, it becomes difficult, then we need to sedate these patients. Claustrophobia and noise is one of the disadvantage. Absolute contraindication is if there is free foreign body, if there is electronic implants in the form of pacemakers, defibrillators, cochlear implants. Here I want to emphasize on one thing, we get so many of queries that implant is being done, knee implant is there, hip implant is there, we can do MR or not. So this worry is really pointless, because the implants which are there, which are bearing the weight of the body, which are fixed in location, what MR can do is MR can interact in 3 ways with the implants. One thing is putting a traction. So putting a traction, even with the 3T MR, will not be that much that a patient is bearing a weight of 100 kg on that implant. So implant is fixed, nothing's to be worried. Second thing is, if implant is the direct field of imaging. So in the direct field of imaging, what can happen is implant can cause heating over there. This is because of the SARP. So heating, that's one thing. Second thing is it will give artifact in that area. So if we are not directly imaging that area, we can absolutely be free of the fear that MR will do any problem. We can, if there is implant in the knee, hip, we can definitely do brain, spine, everything without any problem. Same things with the implants, with titanium implants, what we are using in the, even we are doing imaging directly of the implants, like in the form of stents. If there is valve, if there are prosthetic valves, there's nothing is to be worried. Prosthetic valve already they are taking thrust of the almost the high pressure from the arterial aorta and everything. So they are very stable. So there is no problem to worry, no need to worry about those implants. All these cases can be done on MR except for electronic devices. These electronic devices may malfunction when patient get into the MRI. So now more and more electronic devices are coming up with the shield that they are coming up as MR compatible. So they need to program accordingly and then MR can be done. Coming to MRI. So these are the high definition pelvic images. The benefit of pelvis, no motility over there, so we can take high T2 weighted images over there. So here we can see the very well definition of the rectal wall, we can see the mesorectal fascia, we can see the pelvic wall. So here is the mass, and along the posterior rectal wall we can see there is infiltration of the pararectal fat. So this is very clearly seen, pararectal fat and mesorectal fascia. That gives advantage to MRI for pelvic imaging. This inherent T2 contrast because of the fluid inside hepatobiliary, hepatopancreaticobiliary system. This is excellently seen on MR. In many of cases it is better than going for ERCP because it gives the extraluminal information as well. So MRCP is excellent thing again. So coming to many indications there, but yes, focal vision for the liver, focal lesion detections, evaluation of chronic liver diseases. So MR can help us in quantitative assessment of hemochromatosis, hemosiderosis, fat deposition, steatosis, evaluation of known and unsuspected congenital abnormalities. So now this is the most, see here in the liver SOS, so there MR has the capability to differentiate between the nodules, whether these are the regenerating nodules, dysplastic nodule, or this is a frank HCC. So last part, that is the, now disease wise, what modalities should be preferred, we can come one by one according to the category of abdominal pathology. So coming to abdominal emergencies which are non-traumatic. So ultrasound remains the first investigation. Then it is the CT, which is the technique of choice if ultrasound is inconclusive. Coming to abdominal emergencies, traumatic. So we have seen emergencies, MR is not the modality. Modalities are ultrasound and CT. So in the traumatic emergency, if this is a low energy trauma and it is just within the abdomen, then yes, ultrasound is the modality of choice. But if it is a high energy trauma, it is involving multiple systems, then CT remains the modality of choice for high energy trauma, multi-system involvement. Coming to jaundice, again ultrasound remains the first line in imaging, but for the jaundice here, the MRI scores over this because of the hepatobiliary pancreatic thing we have seen. MR has excellent definition of these diseases. So MR becomes the modality of choice for jaundice and evaluation of hepatobiliary pancreatic tree. Coming to palpable abnormalities, masses, ultrasound remains the first modality, but CT scores over others in the definitive modality. The final diagnosis, staging and treatment planning and follow-ups. Elevated liver enzymes is ultrasound and MRI. So for the diffuse parenchymal definition, characterization, and we have seen like even quantitative assessment of fat, hemochromatosis, hemosiderosis, MR can give excellent definition. Coming to staging evaluation of already known oncological diseases, then CT definitely scores over here. CT is the technique of choice for both baseline imaging and also for the follow-ups. Coming to suspected congenital abnormalities, so if the abnormalities are related to this pancreaticobiliary tree, MR is the modality. If it is related to bowel malformations, then CT is the modality of choice. Coming to pre and post transplant evaluation, so it is mainly definition of the vasculature, so CT definitely scores over here, so giving the high definition of the vascular structures over there. MR has the role when we are talking of the biliary tree anatomy for the transplants, so there the role of MRI, MRCP. Coming to guiding interventional procedures, so again interventional procedures, ultrasound is excellent and then followed by the CT scan. If it is not visible on ultrasound, MR has limited role considering so much of logistics are involved, but yeah, here one thing to notice is now it is possible to get the MR images, and that MR images we can fuse with the ultrasound, and that MR image quality can be used for guiding the procedures on the ultrasound because of the fusion imaging. Coming to post-operative complications, again ultrasound remains first and for the repeated assessment, but CT is the modality of choice for definitive characterization and planning of the any treatment related to that. Coming to follow-up of liver cirrhosis and characterization of liver nodules, so we have seen for the liver nodules characterization, MR definitely has an advantage over CT, so MR remains the modality of choice for final conclusion. Yeah, ultrasound in the repeated scans in the surveillance, ultrasound do have a role. Coming to evaluation of abdominal vessels, whenever it comes to vasculature, CT angiography along CT with CT angiography is the modality of choice, giving excellent definition of vessels. Coming to characterization of incidentally detected focal liver lesion, again focal liver lesion, so we have discussed, so MR will remain the modality of choice for characterizing the focal liver lesion. Here we need to notice that it is not just the contrast and it is just not the conventional images. The one important parameter, diffusion weighted imaging in MR, is very helpful in discovering and characterizing these focal lesions. Coming to infections, ultrasound is the initial modality to make out the infection source. Then it can be done on the CT and MR, further evaluation, confirmation if required. Pancreatic tumor, again, ultrasound is the initial mode, but here the CT is the modality of choice considering the vasculature involved around the pancreatic lesions. MR can have a role when we are looking for the MPD, main pancreatic duct, related pathologies, or we are looking for a smaller lesion in the parenchyma, or we are looking for a cystic neoplasm of the pancreas for further characterization, which was not characterized by CT. In some of the conditions, CT and MRI can be complementary, combining the two modalities when one modality is not able to give complete answers. One and one together can become 11, synergized, and can be in better condition to give the final diagnosis. Coming to inflammatory bowel disease, as we have discussed, here MRI scores over the CT because these are the young patients, they need repeated scans. Pelvic part is very well seen on MR. So inflammatory bowel disease, MR is the modality of choice. Coming to local staging of rectal tumors. So again, we have gone to the pelvic imaging. Pelvic imaging, MR has got excellent resolution. Without contrast, with contrast, local staging is perfect, best with MRI. Yes, if you want to look for the distal metastasis, bony metastasis, distal metastasis to liver and lungs, there comes the role of CT. Coming to last, perianal fistula and perineal area. Here again, the MRI has got excellent definition of the pelvic floor, the sphincters related over there. So along with the soft tissue contrast, it offers T2 hyperintensity content within the fistulas, within the sinuses. MRI gives the excellent definition and text of these perineal pathologies, including perianal fistulas. So that's it. At the end, I will say this LRA principle applies to radiology everywhere. The potential benefits and risk of each examination should be considered, and as low as reasonably achievable principle should be observed when we are recommending for investigations. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Talsera, for the nice description, and the message is that first and foremost we have to actually screen the patient with plain ultrasonography, and if there is any diagnostic dilemma, then definitely we have to choose the CT or MRI depending upon what the ultrasound picture is showing to us. So this is good, because otherwise we have so many investigations and definitely it becomes so hard what to submit to the patient. Thank you.
Whether to use some specialized part of it like MRCP, so it definitely guides us to plan further investigation.
Correct. So it is a baseline which has to be done first.
Definitely.
Hello. One thing to add from gastroenterologist's point of view, that Kamlesh does very good ephigographies. Maybe because of the time constraint he could not show it, but that is one thing which is available, a very good kind of ephigography on MRIs.
MRI can show cine images, so we can acquire cine images in the desired plane, like we do for the cardiac imaging, we can do it for the anorectal area. So this cine images allows us the real-time process. So in ephigography, we ask the patient to squeeze, defecate, strain, so we can see the real-time response, what's happening inside the body.